And we're gonna bring on our friend here. We're gonna bring on our friend here while I get the buttons going here. Yeah, Richie, Marty, we get the greatest of all time here. We got George Hanson, our resident nutritionist, our resident dietitian, our resident human being who's talking to us today about. Yeah, just leave. Jimmy will get you off there. Yeah, we'll see you later there, Johnny. Yeah, Jimmy, get Johnny off the stage, man. There we go. Get him out of here. Jory, we got you. Johnny, get the Jory, good to see you this morning. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
We're awesome. Thank you. Have you met Rich yet? Yeah, you met. Of course you've met Rich.
Yeah. Hey, Jory.
Hey, Richie, so I'm going to look to you for start this conversation. First of all, brother, so we've been talking to Jory we started the conversation on Monday with Jory about intermittent fasting. Now, in your journey as an endurance athlete, Rich, has intermittent fasting been a part of that, or is that just an absolute no for you? And while I ask you is because what we want to come talk to Jory about today is how do you know if it's right for you? Is it right for you? How do you know? Is it a lifestyle thing? So we'll start with you, Richie, and then I want to come back to Jory to keep diving into this. Have you intermittent fasted, or you got to eat too much food?
So one, I want to start off with saying nutrition is probably the biggest thing that I need to work on. So I can't wait to hear Jory's perspective. But I listen to my body, and so I know for a fact that I'm doing it wrong. And here's how. Because for me, what'll happen is I'll get busy and I don't take time to eat. And then I eat this big meal, and as John Anderson says, you're putting 10 gallons in a 5-gallon tank, right? I might burn. Yesterday, I did interval workouts over 8 miles, and then I was in the gym for over an hour. Okay, so I burned well over 2,000 calories. How many calories did I eat yesterday? If I only eat one time during the day, like that's not enough. My body can't handle that. So I know intermittent fasting for me is not enough. It's not a good thing. For me, I need to make sure around those workouts, what I try and do is I eat a relative amount of carbs to get more energy back after my workout and protein so I can have recovery. And I generally eat more carbs before my workout. So like a bagel with some almond butter and some honey on it is what I do. And then I know that I need to do better throughout the day because there's no way that the amount of calories my body is burning can be gathered in one sitting. It just can't. So, but Jory, please, I know.
No, should it? No.
There you go. You got it first. You got somebody out there actually. So there's somebody listening right now who's like Rich, and they're going, "What's Jory gonna say?" So Jory, Richie set you up.
Yeah. No. Thank you. When you look at intermittent fasting, you have to look at the why that most people are doing it. If it's for that mental clarity, if it's to have an adaptation in a certain training phase, periodization, remember? So there may be a place, but again, if we go back to most of the studies where we're seeing any sort of benefit, it's in the 6 lab rats. So we can't necessarily place it on the human. And when you look at high performance sports, so when I've worked with para-triathletes, I've worked with NHL players, with dancers. So it doesn't matter in terms of what it is. If you're looking for performance as the outcome, intermittent fasting is not going to be the deal. If you're looking for a short window, periodized on purpose planned window to fast, because you're not going to increase the training load, then you decrease what's coming into the body. That creates that adaptation as if you increase the training load when you can't increase the training load anymore. So there's a place possibly for athletes to include intermittent fasting. When you're looking for mental health and wellness, you're looking for a place to just let your body just recover without constantly having to eat all the time, there's a place for intermittent fasting for sure. Whether it's religious reasons, whether it's a place of, if you're like putting MCT oil in your coffee, that's not intermittent fasting, but it is the way.
Little stab at Keith there. It's okay, Keith. Don't worry, baby. It was the discipline you got out of that one.
Yes.
Maybe Keith and not Jory's friend. I think we have to look at what's happening. So for sure, if you're looking for high performance, it takes fuel to burn fuel. And if it's not when you need it, you're not going to function. In fact, it's going to be worse. I always go back to this term that's called relative energy deficiency in sport. And it's when you have low energy available to you when you need it, you're causing hormone disruption, increased risk of injury, mood disorders, mental illness, mental health is impacted. So there's like this big chain reaction just because.
What'd you call that again?
That's cool. What's that?
What'd you call that term again?
REDS, Relative Energy Deficiency in Sport. You can email me and I'll send you the article. It's beautiful. It's easy to read, and it really helps. It has the health wheel and the performance wheel. High level athletes don't care about their health, they care about performance.
Yes.
So that's the wheel I use.
To me?
And so it's really important to understand that just because something could be helpful doesn't mean it's the right time and place to do it.
And Jory, I think what also happens with this, and we talk about it with John often with making bad decisions, when we're tired, we make bad decisions. So if we're fasting and we're tired and we're coming out of fast, there's a chance we might make the wrong decision on the food we're going to eat. Lean into that for a second.
It's also blood sugar, because when blood sugar dips, your brain sends out an emergency signal, says, I need sugar now. At that point, that's a battle you're not going to win. That's why you really got to understand that if you let that blood sugar dip, you got a different battle that you're fighting, and you have to understand that going in.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that intermittent fasting is a way for some people to jumpstart their belief system in themselves and creating that behavior change. I also do this exact same thing by making sure I'm not over caffeinating, making sure that I'm not going to the simple carbohydrates. There's a time and place for that for athletes to make sure, because you can't take complex carbs. You got to have that quick fuel source in the moment. But there are things that you can do that can lead to mental clarity, that can lead to body composition and weight management, blood sugar control without having to fast. So fasting for sure is not for everyone, and people shouldn't feel bad because they can't fast.
But again, we're here offering up solutions, and we like to offer ourselves up as connection points. I have found fasting for me, just like I've talked with Richie and the boys here about endurance for me, it's about mental. Like for me, fasting and endurance is purely a mental sport for me. That's all that it is. It provides me clarity. It gives me endurance clarity. And for me, that's what works for Keith as a human, right? I feel better, but most importantly, it's about mentals. Okay, I can fucking do it. If I can cycle, or if I can go bike riding for 4 hours, or go for a run for 2 hours, or not eat for 6 hours or 8 hours, those to me are human accomplishments that tell me that I can do so. It's like a battle, Johnny, with my brain, and that's powerful to me. That's what works.
I'm just going to ask you to read the REDS paper, though, Keith. I will ask you to read that paper.
Yes,
because I think that going 4-8 hours when you're doing that physical activity performance, that's where you're changing hormones, how they're working or not working for you, your opportunity for recovery, building and repairing, and then adapting to the level of performance you want to gain. So that endurance is more just for the mental clarity, possibly that's okay. But if we look at someone like Rich, like going for that 4-hour ride, etc., you're looking for that performance outcome, and you need a quick recovery. That's going to be completely different, right? So just looking at the why and the outcome that's anticipated, absolutely. I think there's so many ways to arrive at a destination.
Yes.
It's just making sure you choose the right destination and route for you for that particular time.
I think, Keith, what you're talking about though, brother, I think, and I totally get where you're coming from, because I share some of your viewpoint. It's the discipline that you're basically creating and honoring and executing that creates all of this. Because when you believe, that might be one of the biggest factors in the whole part of performance. And when you're executing discipline, when you're living discipline, and you can do it because you're disciplined, you can forget everything we're talking about. That will override it, because when someone believes they can do it, the shit that someone can do when they truly believe is off the charts.
It's interesting to hear you say, Johnny, because it's how I live my life. I know I have beliefs that some people look at me like, fuck, man, you're a weird man. I'm like, no, but I believe it. And they, no, but you can't. It's like, Johnny, you always say, if somebody's doubting me, then I'm doing the right thing. I know people look at me with what I'm trying to create, and they're like, they don't fucking get it. I'm like, that's okay, that I'm doing the right thing. Like that power of self-belief, Jory. So I guess that is, to Johnny's point, that's where I really lean into when I do endurance things, or I'm not a runner. I'm like, I can go run for fucking 2 hours because I'm just going to do it because I know I can. I'll figure it out. But something, Jory, you said as we work towards wrapping up the segment, man, I love this conversation because this is such gold nuggets. Jory, you said something about recovery, and I was reminded about it this morning during my recovery ride this morning. When we recover, we can't be celebrating what we've accomplished. We need to be recovering for what we're about to do next. Yeah. And often I think we recover, or Johnny, from your point of view, we recover by celebrating bad food, when in reality, no, you need to be recovering or fueling for what you're about to accomplish next. And I know, Nation, I still work on that as a mindset. I have to remind myself from time to time going, oh, I'm supposed to be recovering now, not celebrating what I just did. I need to be recovering because I got a big job tomorrow. You know, follow what I'm saying? That's a hard thing sometimes to overcome, Jory.
Absolutely. Like when I'm working with a client, and high-level athlete or an athlete for health, I create the timeline with them. What's your timeline? What's going on in your day and what's happening tomorrow? Because what you do today impacts tomorrow. And so we look and we strategize and put processes in place so that way you can be successful at the end of the day and then looking into tomorrow.
Yes. Rich, you got George, you got Lauren coming in with the same mindset you have with eating food and so forth. And good time. Good morning. Good time. Good to see you here this morning. Hope you're getting out for your walk this morning. Good time. If you haven't joined us earlier, you just missed a great conversation with Jory talking about intermittent fasting and so forth, but which we are going to wrap up this chat with Jory. Jory, let's keep the conversation going on Friday. I think we have more to dig into with intermittent fasting. Do we not?
We do. I think we do.
Yes, we do. Let's keep that conversation happening on Friday with Jory. Marty, Johnny, Richie, any final words for Jory before we say goodbye?
I just want to say that, Jory, every time you show up, we have some great conversations, and I feel like our audience is always learning something. So thank you.
I agree.
I appreciate you, Jory.
For sure. I like the differences among all of us, and yet we're so similar at the same time, right?
Yes. So absolutely. Jory, have an awesome day. We'll talk to you along the way, okay?
You guys.
All right. Bye.